When my fiancé listed every reason our relationship wouldn't work, I agreed calmly without arguing. That unexpected response changed the entire conversation, and what followed shifted the direction of my life in ways she didn't anticipate. "I don't think we should get married," she said it while folding laundry. Just like that. No build-up, no warning. Just those 7 words dropped into our Sunday afternoon like a grenade with the pin already pulled. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom, holding 2 coffee mugs, watching her match socks with the same methodical precision she applied to everything in her life. My hands didn't shake. I set the mugs down on the dresser carefully. "Okay," I said. That's when she looked up. Her name was Victoria, and we'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 6 months. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I was 29, she was 27, and until that moment, I thought we were building something permanent. The wedding was planned for October. Invitations ordered. Venue booked. Deposits paid. "Okay," she repeated, her hands frozen mid-fold on one of my work shirts. "That's all you have to say?" I sat down on the edge of the bed. "You just said you don't think we should get married. What would you like me to say?" Her mouth opened, then closed. She set down the shirt. "I expected you to ask why. Or argue. Or something. Would you like me to argue?" "No." She tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear, a nervous habit I'd noticed 1,000 times before. "I have reasons. I've been thinking about this for weeks." "I'm listening." She sat down on the opposite end of the bed, and I noticed she'd put distance between us. Not much. Maybe 2 feet. But it felt like miles. "We want different things," she started, her voice gaining confidence now that she'd found her script. "You're content with where we are. I need more ambition in a partner. You don't push yourself." I nodded. "You're probably right." Her eyebrows drew together. "You work the same job you had when we met. You haven't pursued any promotions. You seem fine with just existing." "That's fair. And you don't communicate. You shut down during arguments. You retreat into yourself instead of fighting for us. I can see how you'd feel that way. Stop agreeing with me." The words came out sharper than she intended, and she immediately looked embarrassed. "You asked me not to argue," I said quietly. She stood up, pacing now. "This is exactly what I mean. You're so passive. About everything. About us. About your career. About life. Don't you want anything?" I thought about that question. Really thought about it. "I wanted you," I said. Past tense. She caught it too. Her pacing stopped. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not going to convince you to marry someone you don't want to marry. If you've been thinking about this for weeks, you've already made your decision. You didn't come to me with doubts. You came to me with a conclusion." She wrapped her arms around herself. "I thought you'd fight for this." "By doing what? Arguing you out of your own feelings? Convincing you that your concerns aren't valid? By showing me you care. I do care. That's why I'm not going to waste both our time pretending this is a discussion when it's actually an announcement." The silence that followed was heavy. She sat back down, but closer this time. "I don't understand you," she whispered. "I know. That's another problem. You're so hard to read. I never know what you're thinking or feeling. You never asked. I shouldn't have to ask. People who love each other share things naturally. You share things naturally. You process out loud. You think by talking. I process internally. That doesn't mean I'm not processing." She shook her head. "See, this is more than you've said about your feelings in months." "Why now?" "Why when I'm trying to leave?" "Because now the stakes are real. Now it matters." "It always mattered." "Did it?" The question hung between us. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. "What is that supposed to mean?" I picked up one of the coffee mugs, cradling it between my hands even though it had gone lukewarm. "I think you've been looking for reasons to leave for a while. Maybe not consciously, but you've been collecting evidence, building a case, waiting for enough ammunition to justify the exit." "That's not true, isn't it? You said you've been thinking about this for weeks." "Weeks, Victoria. Not days. You've been carrying this around, examining it from every angle, and you didn't say a word to me until you'd already decided." She stood up again, but this time she walked to the window. Our apartment was on the 5th floor, overlooking a small park where we used to walk on Saturday mornings before life got busy. "I didn't want to hurt you. So you let me keep planning a wedding you already knew wouldn't happen?" Her shoulders tensed. "I was trying to be sure." "About what?" "About whether I was making a mistake." And she turned around, and I saw tears in her eyes. "I don't know. I thought I was sure. But you're not reacting the way I expected, and now I don't know anything." I set down the mug. "What did you expect?" "I expected you to be devastated. To beg me to reconsider? To tell me I'm wrong about everything? Would that have changed your mind? No, probably not. But at least it would have felt like you cared enough to try. I do care. But I also respect you enough to believe you when you tell me how you feel. You said we shouldn't get married. I believe you meant it. She pressed her palms against her eyes. God, why are you being so reasonable about this? Would you prefer I yell? I'd prefer you show some emotion. I stood up then, slowly. You want emotion? Fine. I'm angry, Victoria. I'm furious that you spent weeks lying to me by omission. I'm hurt that you think so little of me that every concern you listed was about my deficiencies, my failures, my inadequacies. And I'm exhausted from 4 years of trying to be enough for someone who apparently decided a long time ago that I never would be. Her hands dropped. She stared at me. But I'm not going to perform that anger for you. I continued. I'm not going to give you the dramatic confrontation you apparently need to feel better about this decision. You want to leave? Leave. You want to cancel the wedding? Consider it canceled. I'm not going to beg you to stay in a relationship you don't want to be in. I didn't say I don't want to be in it. I said I don't think we should get married. What's the difference? She didn't have an answer. I walked past her toward the bedroom door. Where are you going? For a drive. I need to clear my head. We're not done talking about this. I stopped in the doorway, looking back at her. Yes, we are. You ended the conversation when you made the decision without me. Everything else is just paperwork. I left before she could respond. I drove for 3 hours. No destination, just movement. Through the city, out to the highway, past suburbs and strip malls and farmland I'd never noticed before. My phone buzzed 17 times. I didn't look at it. Eventually, I ended up at a diner I'd never been to, 40 miles from home. The waitress had gray hair and kind eyes and didn't ask questions when I ordered coffee and pie at 9 o'clock at night. I sat in a booth by the window and tried to figure out when everything had gone wrong. The truth was, I'd known things weren't right. Not for months, maybe longer, but I'd convinced myself it was normal. Relationships take work. Everyone goes through rough patches. Love isn't always fireworks and butterflies. All the platitudes people use to justify staying in something that's slowly dying. Victoria was brilliant and driven and passionate about her work in ways I'd always admired. She was a corporate attorney, the kind of person who thrived on pressure and 60-hour weeks. I was a graphic designer for a small firm, content with my 9-to-5 and my weekends. In the beginning, our differences balanced each other out. She pulled me toward ambition, I pulled her toward peace. But somewhere along the way, balance became tension. My contentment looked like complacency. Her ambition looked like restlessness. We started speaking different languages without realizing it. I finished the pie without tasting it. The coffee was bitter. My phone buzzed again. This time I looked. 14 texts from Victoria. 2 from my younger brother. 1 from my mother, somehow already aware that something was wrong. I read Victoria's messages in order. Where did you go? Please come back so we can talk about this properly. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. You're right. I should have come to you sooner. I'm scared. Please just tell me you're okay. I don't want to lose you. But I don't know how to fix this. Or if it can be fixed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please come home. I love you. Even if I'm terrible at showing it. I read that last message 3 times. Then I paid for the coffee and pie, left a 20 on the table, and drove back. It was past midnight when I opened our apartment door. Victoria was asleep on the couch, still dressed, the television playing some late-night show on mute. The laundry was still in the basket, half folded. I stood there for a long moment, watching her sleep. She looked younger like this, vulnerable. The fierce attorney disappeared, replaced by someone who looked lost. I grabbed a blanket from the closet and draped it over her. She stirred but didn't wake. I went to the bedroom and lay on top of the covers, staring at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come. Around 3 in the morning, I heard footsteps. Victoria appeared in the doorway, backlit by the hall light. You came back. I live here. I wasn't sure you would. She walked in slowly, hesitantly, like she was entering a stranger's room. Can I sit? I nodded. She sat on the edge of the bed, in almost the same spot she'd been when she said she didn't think we should get married. 12 hours ago. It felt like 12 years. I read your texts, I said. All of them. All of them. And I think you're confused. Not about whether you want to marry me. About why you don't. She pulled the blanket I'd given her tighter around her shoulders. What do you mean? Everything you said earlier, about me being complacent and not ambitious and not communicating. Those are all true. But they're symptoms, not causes. I don't understand. You don't want to marry me because you're not sure you love me anymore. Or maybe you love me, but you're not in love with me. There's a difference. She was quiet for so long I thought she might not respond. How did you know? Because I've been feeling the same way. Her head snapped up. What? I love you, Victoria. I probably always will. But somewhere along the way, we stopped being partners and started being roommates. We coordinate schedules and split bills and share a bed, but we don't share our lives anymore. When did that happen? Slowly. So slowly neither of us noticed until it was already done. She pulled her knees up to her chest, wrapping her arms around them. I don't know how to fix it. Maybe you can't. Maybe some things just run their course. That's so sad. It is. But it's not tragic. We had for good years. That's more than a lot of people get. You talk about us in past tense. You did first. This afternoon. You said you thought we shouldn't get married, but you meant something bigger than that. She pressed her face against her knees, and I heard her crying softly. I'm so sorry. For what? For wasting your time. For letting it get this far. For not being brave enough to face this sooner. I reached over and put my hand on her back, a gesture so familiar it was automatic. You didn't waste my time. I chose to be here, same as you. And maybe we both knew, deep down, but neither of us wanted to be the one to say it out loud. You're being too kind. I'm being honest. She lifted her head, looking at me with red-rimmed eyes. What happens now? I don't know. We figure it out. One decision at a time. Do you hate me? No. I'm sad and angry and disappointed, but I don't hate you. I hate myself enough for both of us. Don't. This isn't about fault. It's just about truth. She wiped her eyes with the corner of the blanket. When did you get so wise? I've had a lot of time to think. 3 hours of driving and bad diner coffee. How was the pie? Terrible. She almost smiled. Almost. We sat in silence for a while, the kind of comfortable quiet that comes from years of knowing someone. Finally, she spoke again. I don't want you to move out right away. I wasn't planning to. We'll need time to figure out logistics. No, I mean, I don't want to lose you completely. Is that selfish? Probably. But I understand it. Do you think we can be friends? Eventually. I don't know. Maybe. But not right away. We'll need space first. How much space? However much it takes. She nodded, accepting that. Can I ask you something? When did you know that you weren't in love with me anymore? I thought about that. Really thought about it. Remember last year, when I got that offer from the firm in Seattle? The design director position. You turned it down. I turned it down because you couldn't move. Your career is here. And when I made that decision, I told myself it was because I loved you more than I loved the opportunity. But I think the truth is, I turned it down because it was easier than having a difficult conversation about what we both wanted. I chose comfort over courage. You never told me you resented that decision. I didn't resent it. I resented myself for making it for the wrong reasons. She was crying again, quietly. I asked you to turn it down. I told you we could make it work here, that you'd get other opportunities. You did. And you were right, I did. But that was the moment I realized I was choosing a relationship over myself. And once you start doing that, you never really stop. Is that when you stopped being in love with me? I don't know if there was a single moment. Maybe it was gradual. Maybe it was all at once, but I refused to acknowledge it. Does it matter? I suppose not. The sky outside was starting to lighten, that gray pre-dawn color that means morning is coming whether you're ready or not. Victoria stood up slowly. I should let you get some sleep. You too. Will you still be here when I wake up? Where else would I be? I don't know. I'm afraid if I close my eyes, you'll disappear, and I'll wake up to find you've been gone for hours and didn't say goodbye. I'm not going anywhere. Not today. She nodded, then walked to the door. Paused. For what it's worth, I think you should call that firm in Seattle. It's been over a year. That position is long filled. So ask if they have another one. You're talented. They'd be lucky to have you. Maybe. Promise me you will. Promise me you won't let this break you. I promise. Same to you. She left, pulling the door closed behind her. I lay back down and watched the ceiling slowly become visible as the room filled with gray light. Somewhere in the apartment, I heard water running. Victoria taking a shower. The sounds of our morning routine, now counting down to its expiration date. I must have fallen asleep eventually because the next thing I knew, sunlight was streaming through the blinds, and it was almost noon. I heard voices in the living room. Victoria's voice and another woman's. I got up, pulled on a shirt, and opened the bedroom door. Victoria's best friend, Melissa, was sitting on the couch. They both looked up when I appeared. I'll give you two space, Melissa said, already standing. You don't have to leave, I said. Yes, I do. This is between you two. She gave Victoria a meaningful look, squeezed her shoulder, and showed herself out. Victoria watched her go, then looked at me. I called her this morning. I needed someone to talk to. That's fine. You don't need my permission. I told her everything. She thinks I'm making a mistake. What do you think? I think I'm terrified. Of being wrong. Of being right. Of ending something that's been my entire adult life. I walked to the kitchen and started making coffee, mostly because I needed something to do with my hands. Can I ask you something? Victoria said from the doorway. Sure. Last night, you said you've been feeling the same way. Like you're not in love with me anymore. How long have you felt like that? I measured coffee grounds, poured water, pressed the button. Honestly, at least a year. Maybe longer. Why didn't you say anything? Because I was afraid. Because I thought maybe it was normal, that all long-term relationships go through phases. Because I didn't want to be the person who gave up on us. So you were just going to marry me anyway? Feeling like that? I don't know. I told myself it would get better. That once the stress of wedding planning was over, once we settled into married life, things would improve. That's insane. Is it? People do it all the time. They marry their best friend, their comfortable choice, the person who makes sense on paper. Love becomes optional. Compatibility becomes the goal. That sounds miserable. It does, doesn't it? The coffee maker beeped. I poured 2 cups, added cream to hers the way she liked it, and handed it to her. She took it with both hands, like it was something precious. I don't want that kind of marriage, she said quietly. Neither do I. So what were we doing? Going through the motions. Hoping that if we followed the script, we'd eventually feel the way we were supposed to feel. She sipped her coffee, winced because it was too hot. My mom is going to lose her mind. Probably. She already ordered her dress for the wedding. She's been planning this for months. She'll be disappointed, but she'll get over it. Will she though? She's been waiting for me to get married since I turned 25. She thinks I'm too focused on my career, that I'm going to end up alone. You won't end up alone. Not if you don't want to be. How can you be sure? Because you're brilliant and beautiful and driven. You'll find someone who loves those things about you instead of tolerating them. She looked down at her coffee. You're being too nice again. I'm being honest. Just because we're not right for each other doesn't mean you're not amazing. I wish I hadn't ruined this. You didn't ruin anything. We both let it fade. That's on both of us. She set down her coffee and walked over to where I was leaning against the counter. Can I hug you? Of course. She wrapped her arms around me, and I held her. It felt familiar and safe, and also like goodbye. We stood like that for a long time. Finally, she pulled back. What do we tell people? The truth. That we realized we're better as friends than as partners. People are going to ask questions. They're going to want details. Let them ask. We don't owe anyone an explanation. Your brother is going to have opinions. My brother always has opinions. I stopped listening to most of them when I was 16. She laughed, a small sound but genuine. I forgot you could make me laugh. You forgot a lot of things about me. So did you. About me. I know. She picked up her coffee again, cradling it. I think I'm going to stay with Melissa for a few days. Give us both some space. You don't have to do that. I can stay somewhere else. No, I want to. I need to clear my head. Figure out what I'm feeling without you being in the next room. Okay. Is that okay? I don't want you to think I'm abandoning you. I don't think that. Take whatever time you need. She disappeared into the bedroom, and I heard drawers opening, clothes being packed. 20 minutes later, she emerged with a duffel bag. I'll text you, she said. Okay. And we'll figure out the apartment and the wedding and everything else. We will. She hesitated at the door. I really do love you. You know that, right? I know. Just not the way I should. I know that too. She nodded, opened the door, and left. The apartment felt enormous in her absence. I stood in the living room, coffee going cold in my hand, and realized I didn't know what to do next. For 4 years, my life had been built around our relationship. My routines, my plans, my identity. Take that away, and what was left? I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Found a name I hadn't called in over a year. Marcus, the recruiter from the Seattle firm. I stared at his number for a full minute before I pressed call. He answered on the 3rd ring. This is Marcus. Hi, Marcus. We spoke about a year ago about a design director position. Oh, yes, I remember you. You ended up staying put, right? I did. But I'm calling to see if you might have any openings now. There was a pause. Are you serious? Very. Can you send me your updated portfolio? Things have changed here in the last year. The company's expanded. I might have something even better than what we discussed before. I'll send it today. Perfect. And hey, what changed your mind? Last time we talked, You were pretty firm about staying where you were. I looked around the empty apartment. Let's just say my priorities have shifted. Fair enough. Talk soon. I hung up and opened my laptop. Spent the next 3 hours updating my portfolio, tweaking designs, writing a cover letter that felt honest for the first time in years. By the time I hit send, the sun was setting. My phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. How are you? I typed back, figuring it out. You. Same. Melissa says hi. Tell her hi back. I called the wedding venue. They can't refund the deposit, but they'll let us transfer it to another date. In case we change our minds. Are we going to change our minds? The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. No, I don't think so. But it felt less final this way. I get it. Did you do anything today? I hesitated, then typed the truth. I called that firm in Seattle. Sent them my portfolio. The response took longer this time. That's amazing. I'm really proud of you. Thanks. I mean it. You deserve this. You deserve to do something for yourself. So do you? I know. I'm working on it. Talk tomorrow? Talk tomorrow. I set down my phone and walked to the window. The park below was empty except for a couple walking their dog. They were holding hands. They looked happy. I wondered how long they'd been together. Whether they'd last. Whether anyone really lasted, or if we all just took turns pretending until we couldn't anymore. My phone rang. My mother. I considered not answering, but that would only delay the inevitable. Hi, Mom. Your brother told me Victoria called off the wedding. Is that true? It's complicated. What's complicated? Either you're getting married or you're not. We're not. She was silent for a moment. Are you okay? I'm fine. No, you're not. You're using your fine voice. Despite everything, I smiled. What's my fine voice? That flat, emotionless tone you use when you're falling apart inside, but don't want anyone to worry. I'm not falling apart. But you're not fine either. No, I'm not fine. But I will be. Do you want to come home for a few days? I can make up your room. Thanks, but I need to stay here. Handle things. Things meaning Victoria? Things meaning my entire life. That sounds dramatic. It feels dramatic. She sighed, the way only mothers can. I liked Victoria. She was good for you. She was. For a while. But people change. Did she change or did you? Both. Neither. I don't know, Mom. Do you want my opinion? Not really, but you're going to give it anyway. You're too passive. You let life happen to you instead of making choices. That's what Victoria said. Well, she's not wrong. You've always been like that. Even as a kid, your brother would throw tantrums to get what he wanted. You'd just quietly accept whatever was decided for you. Maybe I'm just easygoing. There's easygoing, and then there's not having opinions. You need to figure out what you actually want. I'm working on it. Good. Because you're 29 years old. If you don't figure it out soon, you'll wake up at 50 and realize you've spent your whole life accommodating everyone else. Thanks for the pep talk. I'm serious. And I say this with love. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is disappoint people, including yourself. After I hung up, I thought about that for a long time. Disappoint people. Disappoint yourself. Choose the hard truth over the easy lie. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I woke up to an email from Marcus. Just reviewed your portfolio. Very impressive. Can we set up a call for tomorrow? I have a creative director position that might be perfect for you. I read it 3 times to make sure it was real. Then I replied, absolutely. What time works for you? Victoria came back 4 days later. We sat at the kitchen table with notebooks and made lists. Who keeps what? How to divide shared assets. What to tell people. When to cancel the venue. It was businesslike and sad and necessary. I talked to my lease, she said. We can break it early if we both agree. There's a penalty, but it's not terrible. Where will you go? Melissa said I can stay with her until I find a place. I had a call with that firm in Seattle. They offered me the position. Her pen stopped moving. That's incredible. I told them I'd take it. When do you start? 6 weeks. If I accept. I haven't formally accepted yet. I wanted to make sure things here were settled first. She reached across the table and put her hand over mine. Accept it. Don't put your life on hold because of me. It's not just because of you. It's because of us. We built a life here together. I want to make sure we dismantle it properly. You're a better person than I am. I'm not. I'm just trying to do this right. She pulled her hand back and returned to the list. My mom wants to talk to you. About what? About how you broke her daughter's heart and ruined her dreams of grandchildren. I didn't break your heart. I know, but she's convinced you did. I tried explaining that it was mutual, that we both realized it wasn't working, but she's decided you're the villain in her story. What did you tell her? That if she harasses you, I'll stop taking her calls for a month. Harsh. Necessary. She needs to understand this isn't a tragedy. It's just two people being honest with each other. We worked through the lists until everything was divided. The apartment would be broken down. I'd take the bedroom furniture. She'd take the living room set. Everything else we'd either sell or donate. The wedding venue agreed to cancel for half the deposit returned. We'd each call our own family members. Split the friend group as fairly as possible. Try not to make anyone choose sides. It all felt very adult and rational and completely heartbreaking. I think that's everything, Victoria said finally, closing her notebook. I think so. Thank you. For what? For not making this harder than it had to be. Same to you. She stood up, stretched. I'm going to start packing. Get my stuff out of here by the end of the week. Take your time. I don't want to drag this out. Clean break is better. If you're sure. She paused in the doorway. I am sorry. For all of it. Me too. I hope Seattle is everything you want it to be. I hope you find what you're looking for here. She smiled, sad and genuine. Maybe we'll both end up happy. Maybe. She disappeared into the bedroom, and I heard boxes being dragged out of the closet. 3 weeks later, the apartment was empty. Victoria had moved into her new place downtown. I'd accepted the Seattle position. My furniture was already in storage. I'd fly out in 5 days to find an apartment before my start date. Standing in the empty living room, I tried to remember what it looked like before. Where the couch had been. Where we'd hung pictures. The corner where we always put the Christmas tree. But it was already fading. Memory letting go before I was ready. My phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. I just got a promotion. Senior partner track. I smiled. That's amazing. Congratulations. Thank you. How's the packing? Done. I fly out Monday. Nervous. Terrified. Good. That means it matters. When did you get so wise? I've had a lot of time to think. Same. Are we going to stay in touch? I thought about that. I'd like to, but maybe not right away. Space first. Space first. I'll miss you. I'll miss you too. But I think this is right. I know it is. Good luck in Seattle. Good luck with everything. I hit send and put my phone in my pocket. Took one last look at the empty apartment. Then I walked out and closed the door behind me. I didn't look back. On the flight to Seattle, I sat by the window and watched the ground fall away. Everything I'd known getting smaller and smaller until it disappeared entirely. It should have felt more dramatic. A chapter ending. A life left behind. But mostly it felt quiet. Like something that had been holding its breath for years finally exhaling. The woman next to me was reading a book about fresh starts. I noticed the title and almost laughed at the universe's sense of humor. Good book? I asked. She looked up, surprised. So far. It's about second chances. Do you believe in those? She considered the question. I think life gives you as many chances as you're willing to take. The question is whether you're brave enough to recognize them. That's a good answer. Are you starting over? She asked. Something like that. Scary, isn't it? Terrifying. But also exciting. I'll let you know when I land. She smiled and went back to her book. I closed my eyes and tried to picture what came next. A new city. New job. New life. No safety net. No backup plan. Just me and whatever I could build from scratch. Somewhere over Montana, my phone buzzed with an email. Subject line, Welcome to Seattle. It was from my new boss, with information about my first week and an invitation to dinner with the team. I read it twice. Then I opened a reply and typed, Looking forward to it. 3 words. Simple. True. And for the first time and longer than I could remember, I meant them.